Hey, hey, folks. Hey, it's Mark from Bugman Education and Science Shows, and it is 12:54, and that means the live bug show is going to be on at 1 o'clock right here at Bugman Education, facebook.com/Bugman Education. Tell all your friends, gonna be on at 1 o'clock. Watch these slides. I know they're the same old slides, but does my hand just, oh, okay. But I was doing other stuff there, and so, back soon, back in a minute with the live bug program here at facebook.com. Look, it's Friday, May 29th. We're gonna be here at 1 o'clock. Looking forward to showing you the bugs. Okay, 3 minutes, 2 or 3 more minutes for the live bug show, 1 o'clock. Facebook.com/Bugman Education. Look, there it goes. Bugman Education, all one word. Tell all your friends. See you at 1. It's almost 1 now. Be back in a minute. Really. Probably can't even hear me over the music, but, Okay, here we go. It's the live bug show at 1 o'clock on Fridays. This is, I think, week 7, and we've been going through every week I've been working on the studio and trying to make everything. Okay, I'll show you this in just a minute. Look at how cool that is. All right, I'll show you that in just a minute. But look, I've been upgrading the studio. This was my latest upgrade. For those of you who have been paying attention over the last few weeks will understand. Is your mic on? Yes, I think my mic is on. Look, I can see the little bars moving over there. All right, I'll put it back over here now. Actually, I just wanted to start with that on there because I just wanted to do that, right? So this is Mark from Bugman Education and Science Shows. How you doing? Here for the live bug shows on Fridays, and here's our plan, I think. Yep, there's our plan. It's the same plan every week, although I don't usually follow it, so it doesn't really matter if it's the same plan every week or not. And so at Bugman Education and Science Shows, we usually do educational outreach programs. There is no outreach. We can reach, but we can't go out, and so it doesn't really help that much. So now we're using our online magic to do it instead. Hang on just a second, I got a cough. Okay, there we go. Hello. All right, hopefully I didn't ruin my mic. I was just trying to cough. There's no real, I guess there's a mute thing. All right, I'll remember that for next time. Still on the learning curve. All right, well, so since we can't do our educational outreach programs out there, we're doing them in here, and I'm just going to pick topics every week that I want to talk about and stuff that's cool or happening, or if I get some good video or something, then we'll talk about that. And then we're also putting together a series of classroom, actual lesson type programs, splitting them up from K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and covering the educational standards. They're going to be real useful over the summer and especially next school year when, who knows, but it seems like a lot of the instruction is still going to be online, and so we're standards based and very memorable. I mean, look at that thing. Very memorable educational videos, and we got the whole studio magic going on here, and so we'll be able to do great programs. Talk to me. I'm Mark, Bugman Education and Science Shows. You can just go look. It says bugman@bugs.org, and you can just email me. And then all those pictures that you saw in the slideshow at the beginning, you can get a lot of those on all kinds of stuff at Redbubble. I got the link over in the wherever your comments are. That could be over there, could be down there, wherever the comments are. There's a link for our really cool, you can get a bedspread with moths all over it. Who didn't ever want a bedspread with moths all over it? All right, on with the show. Current events. Well, we were scheduled for Buckeye Valley last week for 3 days. That was going to be a really great camp day, and then we had birthday parties scheduled. The reptile show was last Saturday. No reptile show, but go All Ohio Reptile Shows. If I remember, I'll put it in the comments, but that's a really fun and interesting thing to do. And so none of that's happening anymore right now. And also the cruise season is kicking off, sort of, except there's supposed to be a crew game like Wednesday or so. All right, forget it. None of that's happening. No current events. So I'll tell you about some current events that are actually, get rid of this thing. I'll tell you about some current events that are actually about to happen. I've got my notes here. So current events that are about to happen, and it's not necessarily in Columbus, but this year, and it's in a different place every year. This year, it's in West Virginia, I believe, and these are the look at that. Those are periodical cicadas. Those are 17-year cicadas, and those guys were out in way eastern Ohio a few years ago. That was in 2016 when they were there. This year, they're in, well, here, look, here's the name of them. I got to remember where my numbers are. Okay, these are called magic cicada, and there's 3 or 4 different, maybe 5 different species that all sort of cycle through this weird 17-year cycle. These guys hatched out in 2016 in eastern Ohio. They don't go very far. They just stay in the same patch of woods where they come up, and then they make a lot of noise, and then they go back down and don't come back up for 17 more years in that area. But they come up in a different area every time. That was the whole point. And so this year is Brood 9. They use Roman numerals, but that IX, that's 9. Next year is Brood 10, and the reason that I wanted to bring that up is because not that. That was not what it was supposed to look. Go back here. Brood 9 is right over here. This is Brood 9. And so look, this is just a portion of the eastern coast of the United States, right? There's Texas down there. That's not east, but look, here's Ohio right here. And Brood 9 this year, West Virginia, my hand disappeared. West Virginia, North Carolina, okay? This year. Next year, Brood 10, hopefully, yeah, next year, Brood 10, look at this. It's huge. Now, they're more concentrated within these areas. They just like, oh, is it going to be in Georgia? Yeah, it's going to be in Georgia. Is it going to be in North Carolina? Yeah, it's going to be in North Carolina. You think it's going to be in South Carolina? Maybe, but so far they hadn't had any records there from 17 years ago. Next year is 2021, and that's our big year. The first time I ever saw them was in 1987, right before I went to college. And then they came up again in 2014. And then next year is 2021. And they are everywhere. Look at all of those. Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, all over the place, Tennessee. And so if you don't see them this year, then you got to go down and see them next year. You don't even have to go down. They'll be everywhere. They'll be everywhere. And when I say everywhere, let's see how this works. This was near Dillon Nature Area, which is out by Newark, out east of Columbus, almost due east of Columbus. And you should be hearing the sound getting louder and louder and louder. I turn it up slowly, but when it hits maximum peak, that's how loud they are. They're really, 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 really loud, and they're everywhere. So I didn't even edit this or anything. I was just panning, and look, they're all over the trees. And if you looked up in the sky from here, which I did on some other shots, but I didn't want to edit stuff together, I'm going to talk about these guys a lot more after I go out and get some footage and stuff. So we'll do the whole story about them. But this is just because this is as close to current events as you can get right now. They will be everywhere if you go out to West Virginia and North Carolina. Next year, they'll be like this all over here. And by the way, if you think that's not how loud they are, this is, okay, I'll turn off the sound on the
I'm going to be speaking in a fairly normal tone of voice right now. You probably can't hear a word I'm saying.
Oh, here, maybe I can restart this.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be speaking in a fairly normal tone of voice right now. You probably can't hear a word I'm saying.
I mean, completely ridiculous. They're completely ridiculous. And so I wanted to, yeah, okay. These guys might get too loud. I think I turned the sound off, so here. All right. These guys might get too loud to keep talking about them. But anyway, that is this year, West Virginia. You don't have to go too far, but and then if you go to, I put a link down wherever the links go. I put a link down there for where the brood maps are, and they'll show you where they're going to come up every year. It's a different place every year, and so I know. So look, it's a different place every year. I think I've got the brood map somewhere, the big one, right? This is a more detailed brood map for this year. But one thing it shows, I don't know where we are here, so I got to come up. Ooh, look, I'm out of focus. Here's Kentucky, so Indiana, and then, you know, Columbus is right underneath where this little legend thing is. But look what it's showing. This year's brood is concentrated right around here. And as they go through the year, they refine this. They have live brood maps all over the place. But also there's stragglers. Now somebody posted on one of the cicada Facebook groups. There's cicada face, of course. There's cicada Facebook groups, but somebody, excuse me, somebody posted on the cicada Facebook groups that they saw a 17-year cicada, and you can tell because they got red eyes and they got yellow wings, and they come out early. They come out this time of year, not later when the big green ones come out. They come out every year. And so, but they said they saw one in southern Ohio this year, and that is probably one of next year's stragglers. They're not all exactly right on track, and then the ones this year they don't come out. I mean, they're for next year's brood. So if a few of them come out, the chances of them mating and changing the actual 17-year string without them getting eaten or something, very slim. And so there's a very strong selective pressure for that big, huge, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, wait till next year or go down and see them this year. But so the purple here is, what does it say? The purple is 4 years early, but look, they seem to come up in a lot of different places. And then blue is for brood 8, which is 4 years, blue is brood 8, which is 4 years early, and then brood 15, I don't know how they can both be. Well, anyway, look at this more carefully when you go to the website. They got the link on there, but they actually track it to county and stuff. Very cool, very cool. All right, so that's the end of current events. Field work this week. It was either 150 degrees outside or raining or a combination of both, and so I didn't really get out in the field a whole lot. And so I'll tell you some stuff that when I don't, as the season goes on, there's going to be more and more good field work. But now the cool bug stuff, I'll do some of the stuff I've been learning about before. Look, we already talked about wasps. I mean, we talked about bees. And if you remember when we did a couple of different things on bee nests. And if you could see some of the grubs of the bees, they sort of look a little bit like this, but they're more steady. This isn't a very well edited thing either, okay? But this is inside one of those paper wasp kind of nests, and this is, I'll show you, this is what you're used to thinking of when you think of wasps, right? Look at, hopefully the sound isn't on this, yeah. Oh, by the way, some of this, if you're a medium-aged kids thinking about what you're going to do for the future, I'll tell you another little research story this week. And then if you're younger kids or older people who just like to dance, this video is to music, but it's not my music. And I learned the first week, you never put other people's music up here until the end. So if you stick around, we can dance our way out of here at the end of the day. But these are the kind of wasps that you'll find out in your backyard. This is hanging on the deck fence at the old place, and they'll make these little basket hanging, like little umbrella paper nests. They'll go up and they'll chew on some wood, and they'll turn it into like pulp, and then they'll just layer it out on the web like that, and then that was what the inside of it. And by the way, you can see where it says European paper wasp. These guys, right? Not from around here. And so, but look, this is inside one of those things, and these are the babies. And you can see here, this one spun a cocoon. Wait, good. Whatever. All right, maybe I can start it over if I'm lucky. Oops, wrong button. All right, look, this one spun a cocoon, and when they make their pupa, that's when they spin a cocoon. And so they cover over the top. The larvae can, and the larvae of a lot of bees and wasps can make a cocoon, and that's important for the next part I'm going to tell you about. But that's one of the babies right there. Now, one of the big differences between wasps and bees is that wasps are predators. Most of the adults are pollinators, but they'll also eat meat sometimes. But almost all of them feed their babies. I think all of them feed their babies meat. And so those don't tell anyone I said murder hornets. Those murder hornets were wasps, and they go out and kill bees to feed their babies, but they all feed their babies meat. And so that's one of the big differences between bees and wasps. And so if you're going to be a pollinator, there's so many ways you can collect pollen. There's so many ways you can drink nectar. But if you're going to eat meat, there's a bunch of different ways to do that. And so this is sort of like the classic way. This, and then also, if I go back to this, is a hornet nest, a bald-faced hornet nest. And this is the other thing that you're used to seeing wasps. You know, people think wasp and they think, wow, run for your lives. It's really not like that. But maybe I can show you, I don't know if I did this right or not, but maybe I can show you the picture of the hornet tree. Look, I got to put it here. I'll show you the picture of it. You ready? This nest that, and by the way, this nest, I can tell this, you don't have to tell me, this nest is really beat up. I've used it in programs forever. This is the top of it. It was kind of hanging like this. And so, but I've been using it in programs for 2 years now, and most of the outside got beat up. But it's one of the ones that lives up in trees, and this was the tree across the street from our house. And you can imagine when this tree had leaves all over it, nobody saw this. And look, here's a sidewalk right here. That's a driveway right there. This was right across the street in the neighbor's yard. And I'm a bug guy, and I never saw this all summer. It was up there all summer. And look at that, it's huge. And when I say huge, I mean, it was, I got to get all my hands on here. I can barely even, it was, you know, maybe about that tall. And it was up in the tree. And my neighbor Fred and I got a big thing of scissors, and I got a blanket, and we knocked, because they only use it during the summer, and then they abandon it. And so this thing was empty until next summer, and they're gonna and so it's just gonna disintegrate. And so nobody knew about it until the leaves fell. And when the leaves fell, it was like, wow, that thing was there all summer. Nobody got stung, nobody got chased, nobody got bitten, nothing bad happened. I noticed a lot of bald-faced hornets in our bushes, probably getting some of the honeydew off of the plants, but that, or eating some of the flies or something, I don't know. But then it's like, oh, that was there the whole time. So we got it, and I've been using it in programs. Let me turn this off so you can see better. And I've been using it in programs, but if you take away this papery outside, and look at this papery outside, let me see if I can get close up on it. But that's the layers that they get. And look, different colors is when they went and got different wood. So look up here where there's layers. It's almost like rocks or something. But so that means that a wasp went out, went up to some wood, scraped off some wood, and then turned it into a pulp, and then went up to the side of that thing, and then went, and then went out and got some more wood, and then turned it into a pulp, and then went, and when they got one kind of wood, it was that color, and then when they got a different kind of wood, it was that color, and look, that was all the different, I don't know if you can figure out what the woods are or not, but and this whole thing, like bigger than a football, they cover the whole outside with this leafy paper. Let me back up again. They cover up the outside with this leafy papery stuff. Look. Wait. See? Leafy papery stuff. See that? And then on the inside, it almost looks like a bee nest. They make honeycomb, just like every self-respecting bee and wasp. Look at that. Now, they don't make so much honey. They use this for their babies. That's a lot of babies, right? and then they all die off except for a few queens that will go under the like leaf litter or a piece of wood or something and overwinter, and then they'll come out next spring and start this again. And they do this all in one summer. I think there's little bee heads, a little hornet head sticking out of this one still. Oops. I don't know if I don't have my big lens, so maybe I can get closer. Where'd it go? There it is. See that bee head or hornet head? I should have brought the big lens, and then I could have. Sorry. Just have to deal with it like this. Sorry, that's how it goes. All right. So these guys, not dangerous. One of the first times I ever saw one of these big nests in the wild, it was out hanging on a tree, and they don't usually go very high up. And it was in the spring. I don't remember why there weren't a bunch of leaves around, but I saw it, and it was just wide open. So I went up to video it, and I got pretty close to it. But the thing is you don't get in front. At the bottom of this thing, there's a hole that they fly in and out. You can't see it now because I tore it apart. But at the bottom of this thing, there's a hole, and they go flying in and out of that hole, and you do not stand in front of their flight space. So if you're standing right here and the hole's right there, they're going to come to fly into they're going to be banging you, and then you got to step aside. And as long as they can get in and out of their nest, and you're not like throwing rocks at it or something, you can observe these guys, and they're not very aggressive. So you don't have to worry about bald-faced hornets. Cool though, right? Really cool. All right, now I forgot where we were. Right. So in here, the babies would look a lot like that too, although this is the European bee. Now, this is kind of a rare model for wasps. A lot of wasps these are predatory wasps. They'll go and grab the food and tear it up and, almost like regurgitate, feed it like birds in some cases, and then they'll just shove it in there, and then the babies will be like, I want to eat that. But they're more like predators. But most wasps are parasites or parasitoids, and they like to live inside things. And so this cricket, I don't know if I still have this cricket guy here. Where is he? Should be on somewhere. See, people send me. Okay, I'm working right now, Dad. Sorry. What I got to go through. All right, never mind. Hang on, folks. I got to check out this link that Dad just sent me. I'll do it later. Where was I? I train myself to respond to getting messages because sometimes I forget to turn the mic on, right? And so that's what I get. But somewhere I guess I had the little the little hornet guy here. All right. Oh no, not that. I guess I had the cricket wasp here, right? Because this one is a parasite, and what she'll do, she's digging this hole, and then she'll dig it down deep and then cover it up a little bit and then go out and hunt a cricket. And I don't think that there's a way that I can fast forward through this, but near the end of this video, it's got crickets on it too. And so maybe I'll talk enough that you'll see it. This was over at Alum Creek. Well, it was at Three Creeks Park, and there's a place that's in the south part of Columbus towards Rickenbacker Air Force Base near Obetz. And it's got Three Creeks has a bunch of different entrances to it, and there's one on Williams Road. And if you go to the Williams Road entrance and you go down the trail a little bit, there's a place off to the side that's an unfinished trail. Most of the trail around there is blacktop. And you might remember from stories before, I don't really care for blacktop trails very much because those usually mean strollers. And so strollers usually means you're not going to see a lot of nature because there's strollers there. And so, so I'm going down this trail and I heard a noise. And there's a very specific noise when a wasp is digging like this. They use their very large mandibles, they got their big jaws, and they'll use their large mandibles and they'll dig them into the ground, and then they vibrate their flight muscles without flapping their wings. And so what that does in a sense is it makes their mandibles like little drills. So they'll be like, zzz, and you can hear this. And once you've heard it, you kind of know the sound. Hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll hear it in a little bit. This video does not have any sound on it because it's all moving the camera and everything. But I have some sound from them a little bit later on from a different kind. Ooh, look, and you can see its big mandibles there. Yeah, cleaning off its face, right? And then it goes out and it gets crickets. And look here. This one has let me get out of the way. This one has a cricket. And then it goes over to the end, and this was handheld, and right, so this was the best I could do, but look, it goes over to the entrance of its nest that it's already dug, and then it puts some sand over the front of it to hide it, and now it is digging that up. And so it's got to dig it up. It's already dug this nest, but it's got to get that entrance out of there and then go in there and clean everything up. And it leaves the cricket sitting out there. Now that cricket is not dead. It's paralyzed. They don't want to kill it because then bacteria and fungi will eat it and decay it and rot it. And so she comes out a bunch of times and checks me out and stuff. And she's like, and so I got out of the way. Wait, let me get out of the way of this. Oh, right. Then she comes out, turns around, and drags the cricket back down. Wait, we got a couple shots, right? Watch. See, everything's ready. Drag the cricket back down. And so now she's going to take it under there, and it's paralyzed, and she's going to get out of it. She's looking at me now, but then drag the cricket back down. No time to waste. You can't leave your nest open very long. And so then she's going to bury that back. She'll lay eggs on it. And I think those guys actually provision their nest with multiple crickets. And she'll lay eggs on them and then cover that back up again. And then the babies will hatch out on the crickets and eat the crickets and then dig their way back out of the ground. And so that's the way these guys do it. And they do it underground. They don't do it in a big nest. They do it underground. So you got like your hornets and stuff that'll do this kind of thing. And sometimes other hornets will go underground and make one of these things underground, and they'll just have a little hole in the ground, and you'll see them coming up. When I was a kid, I was wrestling with a friend one time on his front yard, and we wrestled over a hornet nest, and they all came, and we got, well, those were yellow jackets, right, which are kind of hornet, and we got stung a bunch of times and lived. I mean, I just wanted to make the point that we lived through the experience. And so a lot of these wasps, instead of doing this, will they'll conceal themselves more. Some of them, now that one buried itself underground. This one's just right out in the open and it builds a nest. But the cricket one buries itself underground. But some of them conceal themselves inside their prey. All right, now this I have to explain a little bit. This is a baby wasp, right? This is a really little tiny baby wasp, and it's making a cocoon right now. And so they have silk glands like caterpillars, and when your baby looks this much different than the grown-up wasp is beautiful, really small, and can't sting because it's too little. But when you look this different from your grown-up, you got to have a pupa. You got to make a cocoon or a chrysalis. And so, ooh, fast speed, look, fast speed. And so it's literally got silk glands, and it's just like a sewing machine, and it's wrapping itself up like these ones up here. And then this is the last stage of the larva, and then it's going to shed its skin inside its cocoon, and there'll be a pupa underneath, and then the pupa will develop into the into the wasp, and then it'll shed its skin, and then there'll be a wasp come out. But this thing is already a grown-up larva. Its whole life it lived in there, and there is called a catalpa hornworm. If I had a little bit more together, I would have gotten you a picture of that right here, but look it up. It's catalpa. Do I have no, not on there. I did somewhere up there. CALTALPA. Catalpa, Catalpa, Catalpa. So, however it sounds, that's how it's spelled. Catalpa hornworm moth, and so these are really common victims of these little larvae of these wasps, right? This thing has this caterpillar has maybe 20 of these on it, and they don't usually get super high infestations. But look, now it's going to turn around. Well, you can't see the hole it came out of because it drilled a little hole out of. Look, there's the other ones. It drilled a little hole out of the side of this worm. And by the way, the camera's not moving here. That's the hornworm, which had all of these larvae living inside of it, and they eat it while it's alive, and it keeps eating, and they eat the non-important parts. If something was eating you inside, what is the non-important part? Seems all important to me, but they'll go in there and they'll eat the fat bodies and they'll eat some of the muscles, but they keep the thing alive, and that keeps it concealed because this caterpillar by nature hides itself. And so it'll be underneath a leaf, hanging on, not on the ground where ants can get it. It's got a little horn, and it's not a dangerous horn, but it's like a, oh, look, this is the wasp coming out. Look, they chew a little cap, and then they push their way out. And this is still on the hornworm, and it's like 3 or 5 days later, and the hornworm is still alive, and so this is on its little, this is it coming out. I'll let you watch it while I cough again. I don't know. I didn't have enough coffee or something. And then that thing is like, oh, and then the caterpillar just went wow, like that. But then those wasps come out fully formed and ready to go. Look how pretty that is. Really, really small. That's from underneath on the glass, right? I don't have any super video of this. I'm going to get better video of it. But and so that was on a Catalpa hornworm, but you more commonly see them on tomato hornworms or tobacco hornworms because those guys will get on your tomato plants, and so people see them, and you'll see them with all these pupae all over them, and they think they're eggs because these look like eggs. But look, that's the caterpillar right up there. Look at him. That's the caterpillar. I don't know. I'm jumpy on here, so I might be jumpy on there too. But and then all of these, they were all living inside of it, and then they all came out. Now, it's never going to be a moth. Its moth days were over as soon as the mother laid all of these eggs in it. These are the eggs from one female, most likely. And these are the pupae from the eggs of one female, but they all drilled a little hole. They all made a little cocoon, and now they're all coming out of their cocoons. Look, this one. And it's really bad for me when I'm videoing because I have such short attention span. Oh, look, that one's coming out. Oh, wait, that one's starting. Wait, I got to get this one. And then they're all over the place. And then the next thing you know, the caterpillar's jerking all over the place. And it's really hard to edit this video. So that is the way that these that these wasps live their lives. They literally eat the inside of the caterpillar while it's still alive. Okay, well, I came to all this stuff, excuse me, before I knew about any of this stuff. Excuse me, time for a refreshing beverage. This ought to have a picture behind it, shouldn't it? Here, I'll put a picture behind it. There you go. Okay, so I came to all this stuff when I was in college. Let's see if we're that far already. And I'm going to tell you about what I found out about these guys when I was in college. But first, check this out. Here we go. You ready? I don't know why I turned me off right there. Okay. This is another wasp digging a hole like the cricket wasp. But Look at how cool. This is a really small wasp too. It's very thin and it's about that long. I don't know, about that long. And it's not strong enough to sting you, so you can hold it and it'll use its abdomen and it'll try and sting you, but it can't. And it's called Ammophila. A A Ammophila. It means sand loving. Sand loving. This is a sand loving wasp. Look at it. And it's digging in sand or sandy soil. And so what it's doing right now is it's digging. I got to remember my numbers here. Okay, it's digging and it's going to put a temporary closure in that hole. And then, by the way, this one's next to this white rock, and every once in a while it would stop on there and put its thorax up against the white rock. The white rock reflecting a lot of heat, its dark thorax absorbing a lot of heat. So even though this one was in Arizona, it would go up and warm itself up on that rock. And then sometimes it would go up there and sit and look at me like, what are you doing? Get your camera away from my nest. But what it's doing is it's digging a little nest, and then it's going to go get a caterpillar. Look, this is Ammophila, just like I said, and this is one with a caterpillar. And this is probably a geometrid caterpillar, like an inchworm, but and this photo is from 1988, so I'm going to say it's not probably the best photo. It was scanned, I think, from a slide or maybe from a print, and I scanned it a long time ago, and I might be able to capture it better, but these weren't the best photos. But this was something I got to do when I was in college. And so this is a metallic blue and bright reddish orange wasp, right? And it would carry this bright green caterpillar that was the length of its body. And so you would see this flying across it would be low to the ground, and it would be like, it could just barely carry it. And it was like a big dive bomber. And so it would go out. So it would go out, it would dig a nest like this with a single cell in it, almost like a golf club, right? And then it would get a small rock and put it in the entrance as a temporary closure, right? And then it would go off and hunt a caterpillar. Sometimes it could take it 2 days to hunt a caterpillar. And then it would come back, and I'll show you some more about that in a minute. But I did this for a talk I was doing about research that I got to do with this guy right here, Jay Rosenheim. And so here's what happened. I went to school in Hawaii. I talked about that a little bit last week with the monarch butterflies and the white monarchs and stuff. But I was 27 when I went out to Hawaii. I had gone part-time at Ohio State, started late, long story, never mind. But especially for kids who are thinking about going into some kind of research or something like that, here's how it happens. I was flying to Hawaii. Before I flew to Hawaii, I lived in Central Ohio only. I lived my whole life in Central Ohio up until I was 27 years old, and I had hardly been, I had taken some trips and stuff, but had hardly been anywhere. And then all of a sudden, I got accepted to the University of Hawaii. I had no idea what to expect. But on the flight out there, after living this really cloistered, parochial little lifestyle in Central Ohio, I figured you don't know what's going to happen. Just say yes to everything. And so I decided right then I was going to go out there, and if I had opportunities, I was going to take them. Food before, peanut butter and jelly, macaroni and cheese. Now I'm going to Hawaii, whatever. They're going to offer you food, try it. You never know what it's going to be. And I didn't even know. You're not there long before somebody says you want taco. Or the way they would say it in Hawaii, they'd be like, so what, you like taco, brah? And then that means you want taco, and you're like, yeah, I love Mexican. But then they're like, they give you octopus. It's got suction cups on it because octopus in Japanese is taco, and the local language in Hawaii is all this pigeon-like mixture of a bunch of different languages. So they call octopus taco, and the next thing you know, you're getting food with suction cups on it. Okay. But also, whenever people would ask me to do stuff, I would be like, yes. And one day, this Jay, who was working on his postdoc, so you get your bachelor's degree, which is usually your 4-year undergrad, and then you get your master's degree, and then you get your PhD, and then after you get your doctorate, your PhD, then you go do a postdoc while you're working your way into a lab. And he was studying, like, I don't know, like cucumbers or something like that. They all studied some kind of agricultural pest and viruses or whatever. But on the side, he was doing this really cool project on these ground nesting wasps in California. And he asked me if I wanted to go be a research assistant with him in the mountains in California for 3 weeks, living in a log cabin. And this is something to which I would have said, you know what? Nah, ask my sister. And that's all right. I don't want to, you go live in your whatever. But the airplane over to Hawaii, I'm like, go say yes. And so I said yes. And it was one of the coolest things ever. Not only that, but Jay's one of the smartest and best researchers that I've met. I was in academia for 12 years, and I've known a lot of people in and out before and after all that. And I mentioned last week that our department in Hawaii was incredible. The years I was there, I was really lucky, and Jay was top notch. And so I learned a lot, especially about field research. Now, in preparation for this show, I asked Jay if he wanted to come on and be one of our guests. And so far, it's harder to get guests on your show than I expected. Well, kind of. I expected it would be challenging. Whenever I can, we'll get guests. But I just saw there's a praying mantis climbing up the thing over there. It's always very exciting here at, I don't think I have Sony on this screen. Here, I have it on this screen. Whenever, look, you never know. But this guy, I just saw him climbing up on the lights. All right, where you going, buddy? See, this is a live bug program, so you get stuff like that. All right, sorry. I was talking about Jay. So anyway, Jay said he'd love to come on, but there's always a but, right? And so he was playing Frisbee and he was out rescuing a cat from a tree and apparently hurt his collarbone and might be having to have surgery. Anyway, whatever's going on with Jay, it was a really good excuse not to be on the program, but he said he'd love to later. And so I'm going to invite Jay on as soon as he is finished convalescing with whatever issues he's having, and I hope everything's going well, Jay. Hi. And and so we'll have him on, and we'll talk more about the research and the field experience. Let me just tell you, it was incredible. But back to the wasps, okay? What number was I on? Jay was number 6. So here's what he found, and part of what we were studying. So this is the Ammophila, right? With her caterpillar. But there was another wasp too. And this is how you would usually see it, sitting on a piece of leaf or on a blade of grass, and it was small. And so this is about the right size, but actually compared to Ammophila, it was even smaller than this. It was really little, okay? And this is what it looks like close up though. Beautiful, not my picture. I think this was Jay's picture, but it was metallic green and red striped, just gorgeous, really small. And you would never even notice this thing. I mean, unless you were looking directly for it or unless you were watching one of these things nest. And so, of course, my job was to watch one of these things nest. And so what I would do is listen for them digging. And you can hear them digging. They go zzz, and you can hear them. And hopefully if we get to it, there'll be a video of it here in a minute. But you can hear them digging. And so I would walk down this road like 50 yards quietly and listen, and then turn around and walk back up again, and then wait about 10 minutes, and then walk down this road, and turn around and walk back up again, listening the whole time. And for 9 hours, that was part of my job. It turns out it was a real slow field year, the year I was there, and so we hardly ever saw wasps, but that's what I was doing all day. Was going. Sometimes they would see a lot. This year there just weren't that many for some reason, but every once in a while you would hear that noise, and you could just be standing there and you could hear it. So I got real tuned into listening to this. And you couldn't have your Walkman back then. It was your Walkman. This was in 1988, right? And so you just had to wait 10 minutes, go walk. All right. Anyway, once she started digging, we weren't the only ones that could hear it. This little Argochrysis could hear it also, and it would come around, and when she had her face down in the dirt and was drilling some dirt or whatever, Argochrysis would fly over to another little piece of grass and then wait, and then when she came up and when she was digging she would go down and get a mouthful of dirt and then go out and throw it. one species would go over and throw it in the dirt. One of them would make a little pile, another one would kind of spread it out, and you could actually tell. We were looking at 3 different species of these wasps, and you could tell by how they deposited their dirt when they were digging, right? And so so when she was down in the thing, and then Argochrysis would go over here, and it would kind of triangulate where her nest was and figure it out. And then when she put the temporary closure in and went out to hunt a caterpillar for an indeterminate amount of time, this little guy would go off and try to find another nest to monitor in this area. And it was on this dirt road where we were, on this dirt road in the Sierra Nevada mountains near Lake Tahoe in Northern California. And it was beautiful. It was an old logging road, and so it was like the picture where the gravel and dirt and Argochrysis could monitor. I think we'll ask Jay when he comes on, but I think it could monitor like 5 or 6 other nests. And so once she was out hunting, it could take a couple days. If you stood at her nest and watched it, every 10 minutes or so, this little Argochrysis wasp would come over and check her out to see if she was back with her caterpillar. And when she was back with her caterpillar, this wasp would get all excited, and this wasp would put the caterpillar down and then pull the rock out and then go down it just like the cicada, the cricket killer was doing, would clean out the nest a little bit, make sure nothing fell in, and then she would turn around and then go back out head first, grab the caterpillar. Okay, she would be turned this way though. She would go out, I can't go back this far. She would go out head first and grab the caterpillar and pull it down. And then once she pulled it back down, she would be down in there and have to lay eggs on it and get everything all situated and everything. So it would take her a few minutes, and then she'd come back up and start closing it. While she was in there laying eggs, when like Argochrysis would do the same thing, it would be all excited, and you could tell it was all excited. And then whenever her head was down, it would fly over and be all excited. And then when she came up and grabbed the caterpillar and pulled it down, Argochrysis would fly in behind her and lay its eggs up at the top of this nest here. And then its eggs would hatch first and fall down onto the caterpillar and eat the caterpillar and eat Ammophila's eggs, and then all that would dig its way out of here are Argochrysis babies. So Ammophila is a parasite of this caterpillar. Argochrysis is a super parasite of this wasp. Cool, right? That's why they don't want to leave their nests open for very long. Okay, now, fast forward to, hopefully I'll be able to stop this. Okay. Stop. No, not with that. You got to stop it with that. Okay. Fast forward to a few years later. That last stuff was from 1988 when I learned about this. I saw one Ammophila nest digging her nest in Arizona. That was that first footage that I was showing you. That was in Arizona in the early 90s. Those were the only times I've ever seen these guys doing anything. And once I spent that summer in California, I spend a lot of time when I'm walking around looking at the ground. And you never know what you're going to see. But that's how I saw those cricket hunters, right? So a few years ago, maybe in 2014 or something, a friend of mine and I were down at Shawnee State Park, which is one of my favorite places in Ohio. It's right down where the Scioto River joins to the Ohio River, and it's right near Portsmouth, and it was sort of the edge of the big glacial epoch, and so there's a lot of real interesting biogeographical barriers there and borders. So the river's there, the foothills of the Appalachians are there, and the glaciers receded from there. So anyway, it's a really interesting, biologically diverse part of the country, and especially part of Ohio. And if you're around anywhere around here and you can get to Shawnee State Park and the edge of Appalachia, just beautiful. This time of year you will see clouds of butterflies flying up off of the roads, and I'm not one for bug hyperbole, but you'll see anyway. So we're sitting down there. We found this area, I don't remember what it was called. We found this area that had this, it was like a flat topped hill where I guess they had been doing some logging or something, and there was this big dirt area, beautiful sunny day, and we were sitting out there for, I don't know, 2 hours in the afternoon, and it was one of the few places on earth I've been where we couldn't hear anything. No trees. I mean, well, you heard no planes, no cars, no people. There was nobody around. It was just one of those beautiful, beautiful places. And we're sitting there almost asleep. It was so hot. Just the whole thing was real nice. And then all of a sudden, I see this Ammophila wasp with a big, huge green caterpillar running across the dirt. And I had my camera and stuff with me, and I'm like, that's up. It's been, and this was 2014 maybe, and the last time I had seen him was 1988 with a caterpillar. 1988. That's how long it's been. And so I was like, I gotta get some video, and I got so excited. And so I ran back to get my camera. And I was unpacking it from the pack and getting it all. And you got to be careful when you do it, because if you spook them too much, they'll just abandon everything. And I would feel terrible, because she dug this, and this is the wasp. She dug this nest and then put a closure in it, and then went and hunted, and then came back, and now she's getting ready. Then she came back with the caterpillar, and I knew what she was doing. And so I'm like trying to follow her, and I was trying to get the camera set up, and I didn't want to scare, and I got close. And the whole time I was getting my camera ready to go and everything, she's down, taking the closure, turning around, pulling the caterpillar down, and I missed the whole thing. And promptly started cussing. When I advance this video again, you'll notice that there's no sound on it because there was too much. I can't believe I missed the caterpillar. But I had my camera set up, and I knew that the next thing she was going to do was go through this rather elaborate process of filling in the nest, right? So watch what she does. I'm going to start it over, I think. I hope. But watch what she does. So just to orient you, her nest is right here. And right now she's sampling rocks. This was when she dug up her nest. She just left a little pile. Jay can tell you maybe what species it is based on that. But someone will go throw it in the bushes and you won't see this little pile. But she has this little pile of debris here, right? And so I'll start it over and watch what she does. And it goes fast, and I don't want to pause it too much, and so I'm going to try and talk over the whole thing. But as I'm doing that, notice that she'll go up to the side and she'll take her antennas and she'll feel the. Maybe I can get my fingers to do it. Yeah. Wait, how's it go? Like that, and she'll feel the sides of the. So that's how she'll use her knees. She'll turn her front legs like this and use her front knees, and she'll size the hole like that. Now she already pulled the caterpillar down, so underground there's like that little golf club shaped cell. Caterpillar's in there. She laid eggs. Then she came back up and did this, right? Oops. Why is it going so fast? Stop. Okay, I'm just going to restart it because I can't narrate that fast. So you ready? I'm just going to restart it. Hopefully this will restart it. Yeah, watch. Now she goes over and feels, and then she goes over and checks out the rocks, right? That one. Wait, go back and check again. Right? And then she comes over to this rock, and this is just the perfect one. Nope, not that one. No. Wait, which one? No, not. Check it again. It's that one. And look at that. It's flat. And that's important. It's just the right size, and she shoves it way, way down in there and jams it way down in there. And then she starts piling dirt on top of it. Now, if you could hear her right now, you'll be able to in a minute, I think. Yeah, you should be able to hear her digging in a minute. But I'll try to remember to point that out when it happens. But she's going like this, and then she's fitting different sized rocks in there, right? And then she'll go over to the edge and she'll nip some of the edge away and she'll knock that in there, and she's packing it real tight. And then watch, she grabs this one big rock right when I zoomed in, watch, and she looks at us and she's like, okay, I'm going to put this one in. She's feeling with her antennas and she's like, this one is a little bit, nope, too big. And then she flies off, right? And throws that in the bushes, and then she comes back and starts chewing at the edge. And then she did something real weird. She doesn't want to leave her nest open for very long, and then she found another piece that didn't quite fit, and so she gets rid of that. I think, yeah, that one didn't fit. And then when she came back, she did something real weird. Look, she runs off her nest, and I didn't know this till I was editing it, but she was chasing a fly. Look, there it is right there. When the video starts, watch, see it flew off, and she chased it even further. She chased it to up there. Watch, when it starts again, you'll see that fly right there. See it just moving a little bit. But then she's like, I can't leave my nest open. I got to finish closing my nest. And she didn't see the fly come back. Look, it's over there now. It's still hanging around, right? Okay, so then she goes to finish her nest. And here's where you should be able to hear her, maybe. We'll see if the sound comes on. See, she's using her flight, her vibrating her flight muscles and going, and breaking up all this dirt so that she can listen from here. You should be able to hear that. The lines are moving, so you should be able to hear that. I can't hear it right now anyway, but you should be able to hear her putting that in. And so that's what she's doing this whole time. I edited that maybe from a place where I wasn't touching so much. Sorry. But I'm like, I can't believe I missed the caterpillar. I can't believe I missed the caterpillar. And then watch what she does. She's done. And she picks up this rock. It's not dirt. It's a rock, and it's red. And she's using it like a tool. Check this out. I don't remember seeing this, and I was going to ask Jay about this if he's seen the wasp do this before. I can only imagine he has. But she's using this like to tamp down the entrance and smooth everything over. And when she flies away, she takes that with her. She doesn't even leave it. She's literally using that as a tool and not part of the closure, and she's covering up the main part of the nest, and then she flies off. And so now the caterpillar is safe underground. We didn't see any little, I don't even know if Chrysippus, I imagine it does, or Argochrysis lives around here. But then I was getting ready to pick up my camera, and I looked over to my friend to cuss a few more times about the caterpillar. And watch what happens. Look at that fly. And then, oh wait, I'll do it in slow motion. You ready? It flies up, and it looks to see if she's gone, and she's gone, and then it lands on the nest, and look. It looks like it drops a little maggot down on the nest. Now, there's some discrepancy here because I think that maggot is intended to wiggle its way down through the dirt and then do what the Argochrysis would do, go in there and eat everything, and then just that a fly's going to come up, not a wasp or a moth or anything, a fly. And so Jay said there's no way that that maggot can get through all that dirt, and she was probably just putting it there because she needed to lay, she needed to get rid of it, and she was planning on doing it, but she couldn't find a good opening, whatever. That fly was trying to be a super parasite of her nest. And when we were in California, interestingly, when we were doing this in California, there was a fly there too called Hillarella. And it was a big, huge, hairy fly. And so Ammophila had to dig her nest, go find a caterpillar, undig her nest, put it in there and get everything situated, and then close it up like that. And in the meantime, she had to make sure that Argochrysis didn't get in there and try to eat her babies. Nobody wants their babies eaten. But the whole time the nest was open, no matter, whenever the nest was open, after she came back with the caterpillar, and especially when she was down there laying eggs and stuff, Hillarella would hover like a helicopter. It would hover just over the entrance of the nest, like a foot off the ground, and you could watch it. And it didn't bother with eggs. It has false vivipary. It's ovipary because it actually has eggs, but it incubates them inside, and then it would fly over the entrance of the nest and flick its abdomen like that, and it would toss maggots, live maggots, down into the nest. They wouldn't have to wait to hatch, so if there was some Argochrysis in there, they could eat that. They could eat the caterpillar. They could eat all of Ammophila's babies and all that stuff. And so all that would come out of there would be Hillarella. So you got a poor little herbivore caterpillar, supposed to be a moth, get taken by a parasite that buries it underground, that might get taken by a super parasite that hijacks this nest, that might get parasitized by a super parasite, and all this is going on this really cool dirt road, old logging road in California. It was so cool. And this wasn't the only little story that was going on there. You could drive up and down this road, and these things were, I mean, there were little, all different ground nesting bees and wasps and flies, and it was like, I was going to get this tonight, but if you saw A Bug's Life, Pixar's A Bug's Life, then you'll remember the city scene when the big star ant goes into the city, and he's like, "Wow, it's the big city with the lights," and there's buses, beetle buses going by. That's what this looked like. This was just this busy road out in the middle of this California logging area. It was incredible. You could tell so many little stories like this just on that little road. Now, for Jay to find all this out and for me to spend 3 weeks there doing research, we did a whole lot of really interesting research on it that I would love to take part of another episode and tell you all about when I can get Jay on here to help us talk about it. And so, but that was one of the cool things that I got to do in Hawaii. Well, in California, because when I went to Hawaii, I said, I am going to take every opportunity to just say yes and go do everything I can possibly get a chance to do. And it turned out getting me into a lot of really interesting things. And it's good advice unless you say yes to stuff that isn't safe, which is also good advice. Only say yes to good risks. And Jay seemed like a nice guy. Okay? Okay. So that was it for the day today. And it brings us a little bit to what you can do. And what you can do is go slowly and look closely and pay attention. When you're out there, pay attention. We always teach people in our bug programs that respect comes from the Latin spect, to look or to see. Re is back or again. Respect means look again. And when you look again, you understand the situation you're in, you make better choices, and you act more respectfully. But also when you look again, that's when you see the cool stuff. And so all of these things, like these wasps lived on my deck, so it was hard not to see them. And when it got real hot, a couple of them came out and decided to sting me just because I was walking back and forth to the door. Not a happy ending to this story, but then I went out at night with a stick, and remember when it was up there before, European wasps, and so I knocked them down with a stick at night, and they'll just go someplace else, I imagine, and they'll go bother somebody else. But there were a lot on my deck because I'm real tolerant. But the other stuff, the cricket wasps and the Ammophila wasps, and even green tiger beetles, one of my favorites, which are out now, go out and see them. You got to go slowly. You got to go slowly. And if you see something fly up from the road, back off, give it some space, and see what it's doing. A lot of the really cool stories in nature are happening down on the ground. A lot of them are happening underground. You just have to be able to see them. All right, now, I said that before we were done, we would do a little dance number. And so this video actually has music on it. This is the Wasp Arena. And I will play the music, but I wanted to save it to the end because any of you who are faithful watchers and have been following this forever will remember the first week I tried to do this. The very first week, I had in the waiting room, I had that mantis just jumped right in front of me. Jumped from way up there. It was like, wow, I wish I would have had the camera on him. It was like a dive. But in the, let's see, what was it? In the online open on this thing, I used to have a clock. On the first episode, I had a clock right here that I just grabbed some clip art, and it had a song on it that apparently was protected. And so, when I started my live show, whoever protects it found out, and I didn't even know. I didn't even care about the song. I just didn't take it off, and they blocked the entire live. It was like over an hour. They blocked the whole thing, and it was unavailable. Now I've been able to put it back up afterwards, and I left it on just for spite. And so you can still see the first episode, but you couldn't see it at 1 o'clock on Friday. I've been having technical problems almost every week. This is one of the smoother weeks, which is good because I'm getting ready to start recording the classes will be edited and canned, and all the sloppy stuff will get taken out of like every time I look down to see where that mantis is going, it wants to climb on me right now. Maybe I can I don't know if I can. Let's see, we'll go back to where I've got Sony up. You ready? I think I have Sony up here. Wait, okay, yeah, get rid of the X. I got rid of the X and he jumped on the keyboard. All right, here he is right here. Look, he's on my keyboard. Dude, I got to stretch the cord out a little bit. All right, this was going to be the big closing, but now he's... Wait, where is he? Oh, now he's climbing on me. Sometimes we do this during programs where we'll have the mantis climb up a kid Wait, I'm lost now. Oh, there he is. Ah, this is okay. This is too meta, too weird. Look, there he is. Ah, that's my ear. They always go up. Hey, what are you doing? Get out of there. Yeah, there. The joke during programs is they always go right up to the top, and then that's when they go to the bathroom, and then you got to get. Wait, how do I get over there? And then you think this is easy, huh? And then you got to get shampoo to wash that out of you. That's why they call it shampoo, you know. All right. I was going to try to wrap this up right at 2, but actually it's supposed to be a half hour, but I always put too much on. All right, just trust that there's a mantis on my head, and we'll go back to the big finish. You ready? I'm doing it with a mantis on my head now, though. But it was over there, and it jumped. It didn't fly because it's still a baby, so it doesn't have its wings yet. Can you see him up there? Oh, there he is, right there. Hey! Wah! And then he just jumped on my hand. They don't like it. Whoa! And then he just jumped over onto the camera. All right, well, we'll let him. He's having a real day, looking for some flies. There are flies around the studio too. All right, well, anyway, when you're out there, go slowly, look closely, be respectful. Oh, and I was telling you, I wanted to remind you, we have a canned library program. Canned meaning I edited it, and it's really cool, and it's got videos and pictures and stuff, and it's all about imagining your own story and the fantasy of being a bug. But you can't say, I want to be this kind of bug. You got to say, I want this kind of lifestyle. I want to live here, and I want to eat this, and then we'll try to show you the fantasy life that you're imagining. And by the way, our wizard granting fantasy lives is PR Mantis, and so if you get wishes from a praying mantis who's a wizard, you just got to imagine it's not always going to go like you expect. But that will be available starting hopefully by the end of the weekend, that you can get your library summer reading video, and it may or may not be accompanied by a couple of bonus tracks of some of our favorite books getting read out loud, and we can get the pictures up there and everything. And so hopefully we'll make a couple of real nice productions out of that. And so if you know any librarians or anybody who goes to libraries, has ever been to a library, has ever seen, whatever, you know anything about libraries, have them contact Mark at bugman@bugs.org, and then we'll get you set up with some summer reading enrichment, right? Because this summer is really hard to do enrichment, but these programs will be very, very fun. Likewise, our school programs obviously will be very, very fun, and we'll have that series. I'm working on that intensively. I've been working on the script. I got it all on paper right now, and then we'll be putting those together extensively during next week. And so at least K-2 should be available by the end of the week, and they're going to come in packages, maybe 5 or 6 videos together, short ones, 20 minutes, and then you'll be able to use them as enrichment for, it's probably going to be virtual education forever. Also, check out Redbubble. The link is wherever. I still don't know where you're seeing links, but the link is over there and you can see it. I also put a link over there to the cicadas, where you can go see them this year and where you'll be able to see them next year, and all the information that you want about them. And we'll talk about those guys more on a later show. Now, just in case we get taken off the air, I'll tell you right now, this is Wasparina, right? Wasparina. And I got to start it over again with the music, and you guys can do the Wasparina dance if you want, and we'll see you next Friday at 1 o'clock on the Live Bug program, Live Friday Bug Show. Fridays at 1 o'clock, facebook.com/bugmaneducation. See ya next week. We're looking forward to showing you the bugs. I got to start this over again. You ready? I got to start it over. I was supposed to start it over. There we go.